I chose this topic. We adapt. I chose this topic from various points of view because various reasons. Because in most cases we discuss on aspects which are aimed at obesity, high blood pressure, like cardiovascular diseases, on cancer, and less regarding aspects about a segment of population which for some represent a nice segment, whether it be life partners or our mothers. I wouldn't like to touch on this topic without an introduction regarding what it means food, health food. It as you say, it makes an imprint on the health of the individual, of its development as an individual ever since birth. An unhealthy food can play a very important role in determining certain diseases, which at a certain point can lead to an increased prevalence, and as a consequence, their incidence can be very frequent. And here are a few indications on obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, osteoporosis, or dental diseases. This has only a few examples. It doesn't mean it's a complete list or they are the only ones which can occur. And then which can intervene. But on what factors can we intervene? Only on the factors which can be modified. And I gave you an examples. We can intervene on the food habits and on sedentarism. And then, as an example, we have the nutritional intervention. We can limit the overweight, and the impact is on the increasing life quality. I have a question. Do you know what are the three main concerns of humanity at this point? There are three of them. One, I'll tell you one of them. To fight terrorism. Number two, to ensure wellness. And three, increase in quality of life. Now, the increase in quality of life through a healthy lifestyle, the recommendation that we find at international level can be very easily represented graphically. You can have the example here, briefly contained in a chart like a pyramid, like a plate, very suggestively put. As you can see in the food pyramid at the base, we have weight control, exercise, positive thinking, which are aspects pertaining to a healthy lifestyle, which means we will have to consider aspects related to normal weight. We have the BMI, which tells us whether we have a normal weight, if we are overweight or obese, or the more severe morbid obesity. We need to consider another aspect which has lately begun to be more important in Romania as well. Also the abdominal girth. In women is less than 80 and in men less than 94 centimeters around waist. Now, speaking about obesity, I'd like to make a parenthesis here. We are always talking about aspects which limit in a way the energy intake, which come to reduce the fat tissues. I'd like to add one thing which you should consider: the ratio between the fat-free mass and fat mass. If this ratio is in favor of the fat mass, although it may be reduced and the muscular mass is still at a decreased level, then your weight reducing program should be short term. If you think on reducing the fat mass, and you need to increase the fat-free mass so that the ratio should be more in favor of the fat-free mass, then the result of your intervention, nutritional intervention, should be a lifelong intervention, if not a long-term approach. What will happen? The human evolution scale might look like what might look like in the bottom of the chart, and we should speak about primarily obese population. I hope we will not get there. We will become again athletic if we intervene efficiently in our lifestyle, which can be modified in at this moment because socio-economic situation that which each of us is in. Now, coming back to menopause, I'd like to specify a few things here. It's a physiological stage, it's a natural cycle in the physiology of women. The folate activity of the ovaries will end. It's a normal state. It's just that the fact that the age when it occurs, it's about the age of 50, around the age of 50, is not, you must know that this is not influenced by weight, height or social class, but it may be influenced, for instance, by genetic, geography, race, and last but not least, by your food, the food factor. As therapeutical objectives and the diet objectives, I would only bring up one thing. The increase of life expectancy to more than 30 years of menopause in women, which means that if the average age is 50, I, by my intervention, should take this age over the 80 years of age, so that the quality of life should be satisfactory. There are 6 directions to intervene, to correct the disorders of menopausal cycle, also the modification and neurovegetative changes. The health aspect should be the urogenital problems should be remedied, and the last one should be preventing the loss of bone mass. There are some aspects where the dietitian can intervene. Interventions to optimize menopausal walls could have 3 components. The psychological component, where we speak about manifestations like depression, irritability, anxiety, physical and mental exhaustion. Another aspect, another component is the somatovegetative component, represented by hot flushes, heart discomfort, sleeping problems, and muscle problems. And another one would be the urogenital, referring to sexual issues, troubles related to urinary bladder and vagina drawing. If you know about these 3 components, maybe you know that the masculine gender understand and appreciate us more, and even certain problems that we go through will be easier accepted. Now, optimizing the lifestyle, besides a balanced diet, but avoiding obesity means to reduce the alcohol consumption, to quit smoking, to avoid stress, and do regular exercise. The diet represents one of the most important factors which can intervene in the reduction of these factors which accompany menopause. For instance, we must increase the concentration of cholesterol and serum lipids. It's a trend in menopause and cholesterol. Then we speak about the increase in protein catabolism, changes in the hormonal synthesis and in the calcium and phosphorus metabolism. In consequence, the food has to be healthy, balanced, with appropriate and nutritious intake. It shouldn't have consequences like obesity and heart troubles. The number of meals per day should be increased with reduced amounts of food, and the caloric intake should not exceed 2,000 calories, also calculated depending on the body mass and the exercise on the day, and sometimes somewhat should be individualized and tailor-made. It is good that the nature made available to us a number of helpers, of aids, which come from phytoestrogens. They come to replace that lack of estrogens. They are natural hormones. They do nothing less but improve the quality of life and increase in longevity. We have here an example of studies in which it was clearly demonstrated that a consumption based on soy products would lead to better results than if the woman might eat synthesis hormones. The reason why the soybeans are so beneficial is the presence of isoflavones, for instance, genistein, diastein, and glycitein, which have this action. The phytoestrogens in the soybeans, have a special action in several directions. For instance, there are here some which can be found in menopause. I would like to start with osteoporosis, with cognitive decline, cardiovascular diseases, and the cancer risk also, and last but not least, the menopausal symptoms. Why cognitive decline? Because it was found that during this period many women complained about that these abilities are decreasing. I saw a study in Turkey on a group of students. The students were during the examination session. A group was given soybeans, soy products, and another group ate their usual diet. After a certain time, significant improvements were found in the mental flexibility in those who ate soy products compared to the others. It was a significant study on many subjects, so that a pertinent conclusion was reached. A different component, which can also be found in nature, which I find very dear, is the Resveratrol. It's my soul molecule. It's the molecule which I hold most dearly. It can be found in the red wine, and if you don't like red wine, you can eat red grapes. It's in the skin of the red grapes in largest quantities, or in peanuts. If you still want to eat wine, as far as I'm concerned, I can recognize it should be red, it should be Pinot Noir. As I saw that, consequent to determinations made on wine varieties in wine in Romania, and Pinot Noir has larger amounts of resveratrol compared to wines in France. So we also have quality wines. So I recognize, as it was in the food pyramid, just a glass of red wine after the main meal. If you still drive, perhaps it should be at night. So I can tell you from my own experience. Let's review the issue that the resveratrol as a molecule has two isomers, but the trans isomer is proved to have an estrogenic action, which improves the heart function, and it's a good antioxidant. The lignans. Lately, studies have been started in Romania regarding the action of such phytoestrogens, which are especially found in berries, like in strawberries, blueberries, sea buckthorn, and so on. Also in bread which has seeds, or in whole grains and vegetables. Their action is due to also due to certain components, like mata-resinol and secoisolare-resinol, or whatever, which suffer a certain conversion under the form of heterodiol and pterolactone, which have estrogenic action. Sorry for it's a defect of the pharmacist, which I turn everything into chemistry. If there is no chemistry, there's nothing. Another aspect, phytosterols and phytostanols can be found in vegetable oil, nuts, vegetables, whole grains, and fruit. It was demonstrated that diets containing 2 grams of sterols and stanols per day can decrease the level of LDL cholesterol, of bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. Also, there are epidemiological studies which clearly showed that if during all life long there is a consumption of sterol and stanols, the risk of cardiac diseases can be decreased by as much as 20% or even more than that. Food fibers, we usually neglect them. When we speak about food principles, we like to bring in vitamins, minerals, lipids and glucids. We sometimes neglect them. And food, due to the offer that we have, is very poor in food fibers. The necessary intake should be about 30 degrees. In Romania, the average amount is 10 grams. Food fibers should be cereal byproducts, pulses, fruit, vegetables, flaxseed. It's not very new. In turn, I would like to emphasize vitamin E and fat acids, omega-3 acids. Omega-3 is still deficient. The ratio of omega-3 and omega-3 is very much in favor of omega-6. If you look back many years ago, the report was 1:1, which is the most beneficial ratio. What can we do? We can intervene so that we can lessen the ratio to increase the intake of omega-3 fat acids through our food intake. The first source would be fish, or in the vegetable realm would be nuts, seed oils, and olive oil, which in Romania more recently is consumed daily. Also, sources in sources of fat omega-3 acids, we will also find vitamin C, E, resveratrol, selenium, and so on. So probiotics and prebiotics, the terms which you have become to be sensible sensitive at because the mass media has spoken a lot about their importance in food. Lactobacills lactobacilli. It doesn't mean that each and every yogurt in the supermarket is probiotic. In the technological process, these yogurts suffer two thermal processes, one at the end, which significantly reduce and diminish this probiotic quality. Not all yogurts are probiotics. So at the end of the technological process, that phase of thermal treatment should be eliminated. What is most important in the consumption of probiotics and prebiotics? It was clearly demonstrated that if they were consumed once per day for at least 2 weeks, not for a very long period of time, the result would be the improvement in the vagina flora in menopause and postmenopausal women. We usually take calcium supplements. Also, the calcium is better absorbed from the food we eat. If we eat calcium as phosphorus and we increase the intake with vitamin D, we only increase the maximum use and absorption of calcium. Now, speaking about a healthy lifestyle, we couldn't overlook exercise, because there are evidence which clearly demonstrated that regular exercise and efficient exercise slows down the loss of bone mass. Now, skipping is beneficial. Well, in our childhood, we used to skip a lot, and this is the danger in menopause. Osteoporosis installation. By a nutritional intervention, we can delay this. Jogging is also a good method to slow down osteoporosis, to protect the bone. At least 30-40 minutes exercise per day. Physical studies have been performed. For instance, this is an example of study during 24 weeks on menopausal women, and it was found that a significant increase in weight, the heart rate decreased, also the aerobic flexibility was achieved, and the right hand grip strengthened, which is very important for elderly women. Now, consequently, speaking about exercise, should be 3 to 6 months regularly. The studies demonstrated that they can significantly reduce certain components, the somatic one. They can improve the cardiac function. They have an extraordinary psychological impact, and they intervene on the urogenital component. These are the aspects which actually were of interest for us in this menopausal period. If we were to draw a conclusion, we would understand quite clearly that the right foods during the entire life, a healthy lifestyle, can contribute to reduce those unpleasant symptoms and can contribute to the increase of life quality of women during the menopause period. Thank you. It is quite a great topic, comprising a lot of components. I have tried to synthesize them for you. Therefore, I always tell my students, now your homework is to go in depth in this topic, And of course, you will not neglect it. I hope that by my intervention, I managed to bring to your attention a few aspects which you perhaps did not know, or I emphasized a few aspects, perhaps some aspects which perhaps you have neglected. Thank you. I'd like to excuse myself because I can no longer be with you in the conference, but my good thoughts, my heart is with you, and I wish you success for the future. And I know that this meeting and what you have done and what you will do will have an extraordinary impact on your development in the future, your future profession as a dietitian. Thank you.